Side by Side is an arcade racing game released by Taito in 1996. It gained a sequel on a PS1 release called Side by Side Special in 1997, followed by a Special 2000 edition in 1999, which will be the topic of today's video at large. The game featured its licensed cars heavily in marketing, and the game is purely focused on Touge racing. The game is a predecessor to the more popular Battle Gear series, released both in arcades and Battle Gear 2 and 3 on the PS2. Side by Side, however, is a much more simplistic and bare-bones iteration of the formula. All the series staples are set in stone here, however: licensed Japanese cars, break the drift, and blistering difficulty. Being originally an arcade game, Side by Side does not hold back and can be quite punishing, especially in the later courses, where roads get tighter and sharp corners far more frequent. The Special 2000s release features all cars and trucks from both games, including cars from manufacturers such as Toyota, Mazda, Subaru, Nissan, etc. All the iconic classics are here, including the AE86. The game also features an awesome rockin' soundtrack by Suntada. Graphically, the game is wonderfully stylized and the arcade routes are clear as day. Cars mostly sound the same, mostly due to the fact that the majority of the cars available are turbocharged, which emits a high-pitched whistle every time you hit the gas. It does get infuriating for a while. Can't imagine this was fun to listen to in the arcades. So, how's the driving? It's quite fun actually. The game may seem quite scary at first to a newcomer, but the break the drift mechanic is easy to pick up after a few laps in time trial mode, and nailing corners is super satisfying, especially when you get the rhythm of the course down. Learning to anticipate corners and brake at the right time is key to getting a good line through a tight curve, as hugging walls results in a great loss of speed. Racing itself is classic arcade difficulty. You need to be pretty much a racing game god to get a first place beyond the beginner level courses, but it's not something I look at with chagrin considering how there's nothing really to unlock in the game. It's mostly just bragging rights. There's not much in terms of a single player campaign or even any kind of championships. Everything is unlocked from the get-go. Only game modes available are typical racing against 8 opponents or a solo run in time trial. The game obviously features lap time leaderboards for the maximum of 2 people who played in the household. Speaking of arcade era artifacts, the time limit remains from the cabinet version and it's as strict as ever. I personally turn it off with DuckStation built-in patches because I'm horrible at video games, but I can't imagine anyone finding that time limit a fun mechanic at all, especially considering the fact that there's no reason to be ball-crushingly punishing. You already bought the game. The game even congratulates you for reaching the finish line. The developers knew how tight the timer is. What also weirds me out is the lack of analog controls. The original arcade version, like any other racing game in the arcades, featured a steering wheel, and the DualShock was already out, although it had been less than a month, most likely, since the DualShock hit the shelves in November 1997, and Side by Side Special was released in December. But the omission of analog controls from the Special 2000 release baffles me, because the version does implement vibration support. The lack of a split-screen multiplayer also docks a lot of points due to the fact single-player content is also minimal. But what do I think of this game? I think it's great. The lack of content and real progression may turn off most, but those looking for a fun, tight, and a challenging game, give Side by Side Special a go, or one of the Battle Gear games. The trucks are fun to race through, the selection of cars is great, and the driving is easy to pick up but challenging to perfect. It's probably my favorite drifting game for the PS1. Thanks for watching.